Hey, welcome to Film versus Movie, the podcast where we debate the cinema you hate. I'm your co-host, Belton DeLaine-Facey.
And my name's Chris Shurr.
And on this podcast, we watch the films that have been slandered, desecrated, and given a chicken pox blanket by public opinion. And one of us tells you why it's actually pretty good.
And the other one's going to tell you why it's a steaming pile of shit.
And today, for this holiday episode, we have a special guest with us. Please welcome comedian and friend of the pod, Lee Allen-Lan.
Hello, I'm back by myself.
And Lee, would you like to tell people the movie we'll be discussing today?
Home Alone 3 came out in 1997.
Yes, following the two Macaulay Culkin films, which, of course, are Christmas movie classics.
I haven't seen Home Alone 2 in so long.
We can watch it tomorrow.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
All right, so on to the plot of Home Alone 3. It opens on a crew of internationally wanted criminals stealing a $10 million missile cloaking microchip from the Air Force. And to get onto a plane to their buyer, they hide it in a remote control toy truck. And the bag is mixed up. It ends with Mrs. Hess on her way to Chicago. And when we get to Chicago, 8-year-old Alex finishes shoveling Mrs. Hess's driveway. And she's just like, you were late doing this, so I'm not really going to pay you. But I just ended up with this truck. I have no use for it, so take it anyway.
She was in on it. They didn't really touch on it in the movie, but she was actually just a third player trying to jump the whole scoop. But she fucked it up.
Yeah, she was just like, they're gonna take me, but they're not gonna beat up this kid. And then they end up trying to do that anyway.
In the first Home Alone, were they just ready to kill Macaulay Culkin as ready as they were to kill this kid?
I don't think they're trying to kill the kid. They're just like, fuck this kid. It does not feel like they thought it through. They're just like, fuck this kid. We're gonna think of something when we're there.
Yeah, it felt like the Saturday morning cartoon level of ethics where it's like, oh, I'm going to get you. What are you going to do when you get me? Something.
Exactly. It's like Tom and Jerry. Tom is always trying to get Jerry, but he never actually do anything to Jerry.
Well, that's just so he doesn't get fired. But yeah, no, I just like they're running around the house. They have like silenced pistols and shotguns. I feel like they're going for the kill. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
a little dark for a kid's movie.
Yeah, it's dark. It's one of those things that only gets dark when you try to think about it.
Yeah.
All right, so right after Alex gets home with the car, he discovers he has chickenpox, so he has to stay home from school. The criminals track down the microchip to essentially the general area. They figure out like the street Mrs. Hess is on, track it down there. So they start breaking into homes during the day. While Alex is by himself, he spots them, calls the cops, but they're gone by the time the cops arrive. So everyone thinks he's just making this stuff up to call the cops, and he's bored.
Yeah,
and that's so unfair.
One of the cops was played by Neil Flynn.
Who is that?
Otherwise known as the janitor on Scrubs. Always got to comment when I see the janitor. He's also on Shrinking.
What character does he play?
He's Harrison Ford's friend that he made, who was his client before.
Harrison's friend? Who's Harrison?
Harrison Ford.
Who's Harrison
He's
Ford?
the old guy.
Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, he's Paul's friend.
Yeah.
He got old and he aged well.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he looks like a hot old guy.
All right, so the next day, Alex spots him again and decides like, all right, this time I'm going to get proof. So he tapes a camcorder to the remote control car to send it over to the house they're breaking into so he can catch him on camera. But they spot the car and get rid of the tape on the camera, but he's able to get the car away from them. And realizing they're after a car, Alex opens it up to figure out what they're really after, and that's when he finds a microchip. So he calls an Air Force recruitment office to tell them about it, but they're like, this is above our heads, we'll run it up the ladder. which feels like more than they would have done realistically if an 8-year-old just calls you about this.
Yeah, they'll be like, go watch some cartoon.
I love he like wrote down the routing number on the chip. Like I'm just picturing he's like there's like some sort of Air Force Google where they can just punch in routing numbers and he's like, oh boy, that's missing. Like you'd think as soon as they get a call about a missing missile stealth technology, there'd be like 9 helicopters in that area.
Well, they did not know that's what it is. And also he was like, listen, kid, there's so many toys that said Air Force on them.
That's true.
Yeah. I also would believe that like the guy just working the recruitment center doesn't have high enough clearance to know about this. Like it's essentially akin to a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's I think they need to bump them up. They're missing. They really need to get that guy the clearance he needs.
All right. So soon after this, the group of criminals figure out it's Alex's house where the RC car is, and so the next day they go to invade the house. Classic Home Alone antics ensue. Alex booby traps the entire house. A lot of slapstick comedy where, for all intents and purposes, all the criminals get injured and maimed.
Yeah, pretty badly.
Yeah, and while that's happening, the Air Force recruiter does ring Alex's call up the ladder, and his boss is just like, "What? That's where the chip is?" So they send like full like Air Force and police in to go and get it. They show up to the house. All the criminals are just stuck in ice or something. They get arrested. Alex gets a reward. Everyone finally believes him. They celebrate Alex, and during the credits, it's shown that the criminals caught his chicken pox.
Yeah, that was really funny. That was a nice touch.
Yeah. And so the idea for a Home Alone 3 was actually pitched at the same time as Home Alone 2.
Huh.
Yeah, the original plan was they were just going to shoot them together, which makes sense because generally when you have a main cast of kids, you want to shoot them quickly because they age fast.
Yeah.
Unless you're Stranger Things.
Or Harry Potter.
No, Harry Potter, they shot those movies quick.
They meant to grow up though.
Yeah, they meant to grow up, but I think it's something like the second one, they were on set 2 days after the first one's premiere.
Oh damn.
Yeah, it was still very quick for the movie business.
They did grow so fast in Stranger Things. It was uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, because that's what happens when you're shooting like 5 seasons of TV through what's going to be 4 presidencies.
I guess so.
When did it come out? Like 2017?
No, it was. I think it was either 2015 or 2016.
It was that early?
Yeah, I remember being at college when it came out.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's just so long ago, I just don't even remember.
Yeah. To put it in perspective, Millie Bobby Brown was a literal child when it started, and now she's married.
She is?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Isn't there like some weird thing with Millie Bobby Brown not weird thing, but like where she she got married because she got married really quickly in order to like, you know what? I think I'm just like making something up.
Finish it. What is it?
For some reason, I thought part of the reason she got married so quick was there was like some sort of conservatorship or something related to that on her. So by getting married, she was able to separate from her dad legally.
I did not hear about this.
Okay, wait. Okay, hang on. Let's make sure this is right, and I'm not just like saying.
So it's not like Britney Spears shit.
All right, we can keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, we can figure this out.
Okay, so yeah, it was originally supposed to, the original idea for Home Alone 3 was supposed to be shot alongside Home Alone 2, but those plans fell through. So Home Alone 2 just came out in 1992. So the idea for a third Home Alone movie was revived in the mid 1990s. The first idea was that Macaulay Culkin comes back as a teenage Kevin McAllister, but at this point he was on a hiatus from acting, so that was a no-go.
And also, what's the point to shoot a movie called Home Alone when it's about teenagers? They're home alone all the time and they're just having sex with their boyfriend, girlfriends or something.
I mean, I imagine it would have adjusted to teenagers, and they just use the title as a continuation of the franchise. Because I assume if they use a teenage Macaulay Culkin, it would have been one of those franchises that grows up with his audience.
I think the issue is that with the teenage Macaulay Culkin, all of this is just like a fight.
Yeah.
Like, it's no longer zany antics of a kid home alone. It is just like a fucking man defending his home.
Yeah, that's true. At that point, he is in their weight class.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
might
know.
even have guns.
There's like something where if you're like an adult man set a bunch of traps, even though he's like legally defending his house, I'd be like, maybe like watch that adult.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Or, like,
feel
that
cute
16-year-old.
anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So
Also, just to Millie Bobby Brown, that was all nonsense. We may just have to cut all that out.
yeah, what are the chances like her and Netflix are going to see this and just get their lawyers on us?
Then you guys will be famous.
I mean, we'll definitely get a lot more viewers.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So the second idea for this was to follow Kevin's younger cousin Fuller, who was played by Macaulay Culkin's brother Kieran Culkin, with Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern coming back as the Wet Bandits. Well, essentially, no one wanted to do that.
Nah.
Pesci and Stern decided to move on with other projects, and the explanation why Kieran didn't want to do it, from what I can see, is he just didn't want to try to follow in his brother's footsteps, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Because I mean, now we know him as an actor in his own right. So
He is? What is he in?
most famously, Succession.
Oh, I have not watched that.
Neither have I.
Is it good?
Like, I heard it's really good.
I heard it's
Yeah.
good too.
I also haven't seen the whole thing.
Okay.
I just got HBO back. All right. So yeah, that idea also went dead. So after that, they decided to just make a film with an entirely new cast.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I definitely think like once you lose everyone else involved, it's like, all right, just kind of reboot the idea.
Yeah.
And so this film was directed by Raja Gosnell, who was an editor on the first two Home Alones, as well as other comedies such as Pretty Woman and Mrs. Doubtfire. This film was his directorial debut.
Good for him.
Yeah, he would go on to direct plenty of other comedies. He directed the two live-action Scooby-Doo movies, Big Mama's House and Never Been Kissed. And then the film was written by John Hughes, who also produced it. He is, of course, one of the kind of the king of directing 80s teenage movies. And so this film came out December 12th, 1997. On a budget of $32 million, it made $79 million, well, just over $79 million at the box office. So it was pretty successful. Definitely did a lot better than most of the films on this pod.
Yeah.
After this was the last Home Alone movie to be released in theaters.
What happened to number 4?
So after this movie, there are 3 other Home Alone movies.
There's a Home Alone 7?
That's crazy.
Home Alone 6. Basically, so after this, all the other Home Alone movies were made for TV or streaming. They started. They are essentially on a 10-year cycle, like almost like cicadas, because Home Alone 4 came out in 2002. The next one came out in 2012, and the most recent one, which was released to Disney Plus, came out in 2021.
I guess it's like that's how long it takes for people to forget something and then to resell the idea.
Yeah, pretty much. Because from what I can tell, all them three are just marketed towards children and not like the people who watched the original Home Alone. Because if you look at the internet comments about all the Home Alone movies, it's like the first two are okay. Macaulay Culkin is cute and funny, and then everyone after that is like they keep finding the most punchable child on the planet.
That's true. At least in this one.
I think they want the audience to root against the kid in the later movies.
Yeah, it feels like one of those things where it's like, as a kid, it's fine, but when you're watching this as an adult, it's like, this is actually very irresponsible. And like watching Home Alone is like that kid sent them to the hospital.
Yeah. I'd be kind of worried.
Yeah. Like in real life, that family is getting sued.
Yeah, I feel like in this one, they're getting sued. They should be getting sued too. Can we talk about it?
I mean, we're getting to it real quick.
Okay.
So like just a couple of fun facts with this. This is the only Home Alone movie in the franchise to not take place during Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it takes place a little after Christmas.
It was snowy, so I just assumed it was Christmas.
Yeah, they're like, oh, Christmas tree.
See, that's the thing. It takes place soon after Christmas, but in order for the plot to happen, it has to be while school is in session.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then as an extra fun fact, his older sister is played by Scarlett Johansson in her first ever big screen role.
How old was she?
She must have
she
been
didn't look
in
like
her
a
teens.
teenager.
Like 14 maybe.
Damn.
Yeah, so she was 13 when this movie came out.
So when she was shooting it, she was like 12.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I think her character and the older brother are supposed to be middle school, early high school.
Yeah.
The older brother, that was like the coolest haircut you could have in the late 90s. Like that haircut you made just by pouring Mountain Dew on your head and then going like that.
Yeah, it was like the early evolution of like the NSYNC Backstreet Boy haircuts.
Yeah. There was, I don't know, there was a poster of some kind of teenage movies, like, and the main character has the exact same haircut, but I don't remember anything about the poster. I'm thinking about, like, I know there's a boy. He has some kind of gold hair. It's like blonde hair. It's like, never mind. He looks like Hedgehog.
All right.
You want to get this bad boy started?
Okay, can I share some facts?
Sure.
Okay. This is what Chinese netizens are saying on Chinese Rotten Tomatoes about this movie. Let me start with, they gave it 7.8 out of 10, which is pretty good. And here's some comments. The good ones are, it's not perfectly logical, doesn't affect, it's still a classic. Just rewatched it, still classic. Funny and wholesome. It's all right. Hail to the nerds. Go fuck yourself if you don't believe it. And here's a bad one that it's really funny. It feels like they're doing a tiger's portrait with a cat as a model. Plus, transplant a dog's tail to a mink. Plus, an ugly girl embarrassed herself trying to dress up like the popular girl. That's a hate comment.
Did you sort that yourself, or does like Chinese Rotten Tomatoes allow you to sort by aggression?
No, it's just like, yeah, kind of sort of like, good one, good one, good one. I'm like, oh, the bad one. The comment is really interesting. This person is hating this with a passion.
Did you see Home Alone 3 while you were in China?
No, I just watched it for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see Home Alone or Home Alone 2 while you were in China?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right. Well,
that's just-
now it's time for our opening statements. I will be defending this film, and Chris will be attacking.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I can go. If you're expecting the Macaulay Culkin films you're familiar with, you're going to be disappointed, and that's what makes Home Alone 3 so great. They could have settled for a lazy cash grab, but instead gave us a charismatic new lead, thrilling plot, and plenty of laughs along the way. Watch the first two for your Christmas cheer. Watch this one for your New Year's hangover.
Charismatic is generous, but I agree with you.
Home Alone 3 is the shark jumping third installment that killed a beloved franchise. A movie down McCulkin, Joe Pesci, and Stern, Home Alone 3 is a shadow of its former self. It's just a loose collection of pratfalls and gags that exist within the context of childhood neglect. Do not watch it.
So, Lee, do you have any initial thoughts on the film?
Initially, I did not know what to expect. I was like, oh, I saw the poster. I was like, okay, it's gonna be a different child. This child is cute, but he's not like quirky cute. Like the first two Home Alones. He's like adorable, but just like, oh, your hair's a little too much. And it kept going. I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then like, I don't think this is a bad movie. Honestly, I don't even know why you guys are talking about this movie on this podcast.
35% on Rotten
Yeah.
Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention that.
I saw that.
It has a 35 on Rotten Tomatoes and a 4.6 on IMDb.
I don't think that's fair.
No, I definitely think it deserves more.
I think it is rated perfectly.
Well, and I really like it. I think I might rewatch it next year.
Yeah, I mean for stars, as we just discussed, like once you lose Macaulay Culkin, I think it's smart to reboot it, and I think it was smart because they definitely made this to appeal still to kids and not the kids who
grow
watch
up already,
watch Home Alone and then grew up. Like because it has. All the makings of like a lot of kids media. It made the kids smarter, adults a bit
And they have
dumber,
a really
and played
good
with that.
toy in there.
I think that kind of took away from the quality though. Like I guess like it's a kid's movie and so you can judge it as a kid's movie, but I feel like it didn't really get into that category of like kids movies that are entertaining to watch as an adult. Like the gags, you're just like, oh, okay, that's like a kid would love this, but this isn't a good gag. They kind of held on notes way longer than they needed to. Like when he's getting shocked by the electricity outside the front door, he's just sitting there holding it. It goes on for like a minute.
You couldn't really let go.
Yeah, but I just like in Home Alone 1, I feel like that gag would have cut away halfway faster. Just it's like a more entertaining watch. It like flows a lot better.
Yeah,
but they just wanted the gag to be front and center. It's for kids.
well, yeah. I mean, like certain aspects of it is like with this being a sequel, they are trying to like up the ante with this. So like they are upping the booby traps because I do feel like still if they're on the same level as the first Home Alone is going to get tiresome. Like I feel like as a franchise because it's still relatively close to the first one. It's kind of like the stunts in Fast and Furious movies where it's like they gotta keep going up a bit with each one.
Yeah,
they have a power scaling issue. It is the only like not animated children's show or movie that has a power scaling issue. It's where it's like first movie, it's the Wet Bandits. It's just two guys, they break into homes when no one's home. They might get like a little angry and be like, oh, I'm gonna get you kids. But in this one, it's a team of international spies.
They kind of suck.
All armed with weapons.
Well, yeah, that's the point. It's playing into like this childhood fantasy. Like it actually reminded me of Codename Kids Next Door, where it's like it's playing into the idea of like the first two movies were wish fulfillment because one thing you lack as a child is independence. So now you give a child full independence. This one is still addressing like concerns of a kid, but in a different way. Because one thing that's frustrating as a kid is adults don't take you seriously. So this plays into that of like, hey, he's right this whole time, and this whole thing could have been presented if people prevented if people took him seriously.
Yeah.
But now he also gets to live the kid fantasy of just being the hero.
Yeah.
And
now all adults can suck it.
yeah, and so like again, it's upping the ante where instead of just neighborhood robbers, they are these well-known criminals and making the kid this ultimate hero.
Yeah, and also I feel like they're like international criminals that's been at large for years. They kind of feels like they deserve all the booby traps. And also all the booby traps in this one, I'm like, every single one of them could be deadly.
Yeah, that's the same with in the first one, he drops a bowling ball on a pendulum. They did the calculations and that would have just caved in someone's skull.
Oh yeah, it's like there are plenty of videos online of like doctors or something looking at all the Home Alone booby traps and being like, all right, these are all the injuries that came from this one scene.
Yeah, I don't think it needs a doctor to like. I'm like, every single one of them looks like it hurt.
Oh yeah, no,
and it's gonna be an insurance invoice.
Oh yeah, because the franchise already used cartoon logic with all.
I guess
with
so.
all these stunts.
Okay, I think that's my issue. Where I think like the cartoon logic went too far. In those first two, you're like, oh, okay, that's like a kid having fun. But in this one, you're just like, all right, this is like, I'm just sitting here being like, it's so separated from reality. The other one was fantastical elements grounded in like reality. And this is just like, what kind of kooky things could we come up with to entertain kids?
Well, yeah, I think this is again them not retreading and appealing to a different audience, because like a lot of the aspects, I think once you understand you are from the viewpoint of a child, it like comes together and makes sense. Like especially when you look at the way he interacts with his older siblings, because his older siblings are just like cartoonishly looking down on him again. It's like after the first call he makes and the cops are like, he can't call for false alarms. His older siblings just have this like synchronized response to him where they're just looking down on him. And it's like, it again reminded me of like Codename Kids Next Door, those kids from down the lane, how creepy they were. So, and it's like, I feel like, cause also the age gap between him and his older siblings is significant. He's 8, they're in middle school, high schooler. And while I don't have siblings, I remember being around that age, and my older cousins, it's like, okay, you're boring now because you have a job. Meanwhile, the job is just working at Cold Stone.
But also, I feel like older, if it feels like the two siblings, what are their names? Something. They'll look at him like, you're embarrassing. Because he kind of pulled, like, the cops came over, there was nothing, now the parents have to replace the door of the neighbors. So, of course, they would make fun of him. Also, Chris, I know you're, like, supposed to attacking the film, but I'm like, where's your inner child?
Okay. I'm just gonna say, even my inner child would have watched this and been like, "It's a little much, don't you think?"
No, I think
I think
we watch Reacher and we love it.
Yeah, okay, but here's the parts that I think my inner child would have had issues with.
Okay.
I think my inner child would have been like, the bird. They did too much with the bird.
No,
the bird was fucking annoying. The bird, like, they ended the movie on the bird being smart enough to light a match while it's like having a full conversation with the dude.
It's That's the cartoon element.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not a cartoon though. That's like kind of, I guess.
I mean, I feel like as a kid, when it comes to cartoons, like the talking parrot thing is all the rage. Like I've barely seen a talking parrot in real life, but they appear in shows and movies a whole lot.
Okay, actually, I think I'm kind of figured out what the point I'm trying to get across. The first two movies were great because parents could bring their kids to them, and even though they're kids' movies, they still function like a movie. But this functions like something that your kid picks up at a gas station when you're on vacation. And like at the gas station with all the DVDs, and you're like, I didn't even know that movie had a sequel. And then you take it home and it's just as bad as you expect it to be. That's this film. It's just like they went too far with everything.
I really like it. I don't think this kid was neglected because the mom had to go to work and she repeatedly apologized to the child. And she's like, I'm so sorry, I have to go to work. And she got first like 10, 20 minutes, she got mad at her boss. She's like saying, now you're forcing me to choose between this and taking care of my sick child. And every time she's like, make sure you can page me, you can call me, we're all wired. I'll be back within an hour. She's not neglecting her child.
Yeah, it's weird because I know social media didn't exist when this movie came out, but it does feel like they responded to all the internet comments about like how bad the mom is in the first two movies, especially because the mom in this movie does kind of resemble Catherine O'Hara, who played the mom in the first two movies.
Oh yeah, when
she's hotter.
First turned it on, I thought it was the same woman.
Oh, she's hotter. She's way hotter.
Yeah, no. I also, that's the color of red that I want for my hair.
Oh, now you can just show it to the hairdresser.
Yeah, just show up to the salon. Like, have you seen Home Alone 3?
3? I want that color.
You won't know the right color unless you sit through the whole thing.
Oh, and also when the mom almost hit Alice, one of the international criminal, the woman Alice was totally hitting on her. There was a moment I was like, "Oh, Alice is gay."
I thought Alice and the main guy were dating.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they ever had anything to confirm it.
I thought they were like flirting though.
No, I mean, I thought I got the impression that in that moment she was just being overly creepy. Like she didn't actually know how to be a neighbor.
But she was like, "Oh, you have a good day," and and at the end, towards the end, where she tie up Mrs. Hess.
Yes.
The way she's talking to her, and she was like, she gave her a very creepy kiss on Mrs. Hess' forehead. I was like, oh, I think Alice is gay. Because that's what a creepy man would do. Just because she's a hot woman doesn't mean she couldn't be creepy.
I feel like she was trying to be menacing.
She's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they couldn't really nail down what these people are, though. Because, like, I feel like in the first two, you had the Wet Bandits, Joe Pesci, and Stern?
Yeah, Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern. They're just, like, such classic characters. And these four, they kind of feel generic. That's sort of...
I think they're... the implication there is they're Russian.
Well, I mean, at least one of them is like I do feel like there's four of them, and I feel like their roles were you had like one guy who like during the time of Red Scare, they're like, all right, he sounds the most like communism. Be scared of him.
Yeah, and the other, they're like, oh, they're selling this to North Korea. And also when all the movie came out around this time, all the villains are Russian dudes. Are Russian. It's following the entire CIA propaganda.
Yeah. No, like a lot of action movies from the 80s and 90s, just Russian villains because of the Red Scare.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah. And like North Korea and Russian. And the entire time, this little kid, Alex, is like, nah, my home. This is my home. This is my neighborhood. That's like so Americana. This is my property. Right? There's the fire and there's the firecracker. I'm like, this is very Americana. That's one of my notes.
Oh,
He said he doesn't say that, but you go.
oh yeah, no, this is definitely like subtle military propaganda.
Yeah.
He's like, little kids, report your neighbors. Then you will be rewarded by the government. And your bullying older siblings will cheer you on. They're going to be on your side. They're going to protect you. And they're going to supportive to you now. And you're the neighborhood hero. You go, child. We want you. We want you.
Well, now we know reporting certain criminals doesn't get you a reward. It just gets you a lot hate comments at McDonald's.
It just makes you a narc.
You know what do you think like the Air Force wrote him a college recommendation or something?
Yes. And also, I have a very similar thought. Like, this little kid is definitely going to MIT or Caltech. And this experience is going to be the essay on his college application.
Yeah. I think they went a little too far in what this kid was capable of doing.
Definitely. It's not very logical.
Like, at some point, the kid was like, he was one scene away from whipping out like a UAV radar to track down where the people were.
What if he is a neurotypical Sheldon?
Did they say anything about that?
He could be a genius. Everything he did in this movie is quite genius.
Oh, well, yeah, he's clearly smart for his age. I think that goes back to like the fantasy fulfillment of kids being like, oh, I want to be able to do all this stuff. Because again, as a kid, you are limited in what you can do.
No adults can pull what he pulled.
Well, yeah, because they're tied to reality.
That's a good point. We're in reality.
Yeah, I mean, most adults couldn't do half the stuff in the first two movies.
I mean, you could like,
yeah.
Did he set up traps in the second movie? I'm blanking so hard.
I don't know, I'm blanking too, but I mean, also in the third one, he set up the traps super quickly. It was like a Phineas and Ferb episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. Can you admit that like some of this film they're just checking boxes from the cliches of the first one?
Oh yeah, they definitely like for like parts of it they were like, oh, this is gonna remind people of the first two movies, because like
the adhesive, the tar.
Yeah, I mean, the Home Alone movies are basically part one wish fulfillment, part two Die Hard for children.
Part three, coming of age relationship with your parents story.
Yeah.
Oh, also I really like the first part where they're like, we're going to Chicago, and the dude with the long hair is like, we're in this weather? I packed tropical.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, and I feel and like going back to your comments about like the four criminals, I feel like they clearly defined like a character role for that guy. They just didn't use it as much as they could have.
That guy would be really funny, especially with his hair. He's kind of like silly.
Yeah, but I also think like they kind of emphasize like, oh, the four criminals, they don't know how to just live in this suburban neighborhood, because like when they're trying to sneak into to a house, it's like they wear these all white snowsuits, which like there are only two scenarios where you're wearing an all white snowsuit. One, you're either a criminal or a spy, or two, you're just stupid.
I think they're stupid. I think that's...
It could be both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, when they jump over onto the trampoline and hit their legs on the bottom of the pool, they should have just like done some broken legs for that. That was like the one realistic injury they should have done.
The woman, she's like all twisted when she got carried out by the FBI agents. Like her limbs are literally like...
Oh yeah, because she like fell down the dumbwaiter chute.
Yeah.
So didn't she? She also, at one point when she got stuck in like the, what was it, tar?
Adhesive.
Yeah. She hit face first into the ground, and then it just cut to a different scene. I was like, oh my God, they're just going to kill her.
well, yeah, they just, I feel like they probably they either didn't figure out how she would get out of that, or they were like, this would be too boring to actually show. You just need to know she didn't suffocate to death.
Oh, and they had a flower pot fell on her face. That would knock her out.
Yeah.
And also the barbell.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that would kill someone.
The big chest flying through the window.
Yeah.
It's illogical that a kid's gonna be able to lift that weight anyway.
That's true. How did he even get that up there?
How about Home Alone? It's a 45-minute movie. He just sneaks out when everyone's inside, nail guns all the windows and doors shut, and sets the whole house on fire.
That'd be pretty cool.
Let
it burn.
Ruthless.
I mean, like, I'm just thinking, like, at this point, for it to make sense, like, just make one Home Alone movie where the kid is played by The Rock, and like, absolutely no one acknowledges that this is clearly a grown ass man as an 8-year-old.
How about a Home Alone movie about 3 robbers just trying to enjoy their Christmas, and Macaulay Culkin comes in like a sociopath and just destroys their lives.
Just on site, like the Powerpuff Girls.
They keep trying to leave, but the traps are set so you can't get out of the house.
How about Home Alone, but it's just all snakes inside of the house and like very creepy animals, and they got trapped.
I'm down for it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're just pitching Saw movies now.
Well, that's like he's a little freaking adolescent Jigsaw. Freaky kid.
Oh, one thing I do not like about in this movie is he has this red eye white rat named Doris. They couldn't give him a hamster. That would be way much cuter than the rat. The rat freaks me out.
I think that that's the point, because I think rats are stereotyped as like the pets for weird kids, and
But
so
they're smart.
Yeah, but that also further isolates him from the rest of his family.
That makes sense. He also has crickets.
What was he carrying the rat around in?
A little camera case.
That's what it was. Okay. I thought it was like a specialized rat carrier. I'm not even hating. That was kind of cool. He loved his rat, but camera case makes sense.
That kid will be so sad when the rat died.
2 years. That's how long rats last.
That's not very long. Is it longer than hamster?
Hamsters die violently.
What do you mean violently?
No matter how long they live, their death will be awful. No?
I don't know. I've never...
You have to... Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go on Reddit. Hamster death.
You want to get to 3 things?
Sure, because I started typing hamster death into Google. It wants to autofill to hamster death stories, and I don't think we have time for that.
Okay, just pick one hamster death story.
Oh my God. Someone just described their like 5-year-old daughter just came from home from school, saw her little hamster twitch and die. Like, apparently she just opened the door too hard.
What? They're that fragile?
Oh my God. Yeah, we should have saved this till after the show. I'm just gonna cut this.
Yeah.
All right. So now it's time for our concessions. This is where I give 3 things I didn't like about the film, and Chris gives 3 things she liked.
I'll start it off. This movie's fine. I feel like it's just too late to make another childhood favorite for me. Like, I'm sure anyone born in 92, Home Alone 3 is great. It's just hard to compete against people's childhood memory of a film.
Yeah. I do feel like that is a big problem with a lot of these remakes and legacies and sequels. Is like, you're not only competing against the actual quality of the film, you're competing against people's nostalgia.
Yeah.
Which is very hard to win against.
Yeah.
All right. My first concession: the villains are annoying, and there's no real need for 4 of them. I feel in terms of plot and character dynamics, because I feel like the first 2 movies had it right, where it's like you have two that way the kids outnumbered, but also when it's scenes with just the 2 of them, they have a fun dynamic to play off each other. With the 4 of them, I feel like they don't have unique enough identities to really play off each other well.
I think just a numbers game. So they're like, he's coming this way, he's coming this way, she's coming this way, he's coming this way. It felt like a heist.
Yeah, I feel like if they had 3, they could still pull it off. Because right now it seems like their character dynamics are Lear with a Russian accent, goofy guy, also sort of in charge but not really, and then woman.
Well, Alice is hot.
It kind of seems like they're just optimizing for the amount of traps they could play in the movie. It seems like this entire movie was centered around a list of funny traps that they came up with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I assume like with every Home Alone sequel, they just spend some time just spitballing all these ideas.
Steve, I feel like in the first one, it was great. Like the traps were just a fun part of the movie. The second one, he's not really even in his own home. So it's kind of hard to have a home. Why am I even commenting? I don't even remember the movie. What am I doing? But like, I just feel like with this third one, they're just like, oh, okay, everyone fucking loves traps. They're like, we need an hour. The trap sequence is like 45 minutes long. Yeah. It's a long part of the movie versus I think in Home Alone, it's like 25 minutes.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like with all the movies, it just ends up being like the major third act.
Yeah. All right. They came up with some creative traps. The traps were like they put them they put the whole movie around them, and they did a pretty good job.
Which trap is your favorite?
I like the glue. I like the chest flying down through it. I like the snowball and the electric fence that says electric fence because that one's pretty good.
Yeah. No, the fact that the electric wires looked like yarn was hilarious. Yeah. I also really liked him switching the trampoline and pool. It's like
that was so good.
Yeah, that was a good one. Also, like for an 8-year-old, he's very handy with tools.
Yes.
The freaking chair. He made an electric chair. like that's something you'd find in like a CIA Black Ops site.
Yeah, he's going to MIT.
Yeah, all right. My second concession, they should dive more into the wish fulfillment. I mean, he's home from school. Sick. He should have had more fun with it. Just being like, all right, I have an excuse to watch cartoons all day, play with toys, whatever. Like maybe just a scene where his mom's like, hey, here's all the homework you missed, and he's like, homework can wait till later. I don't know because I think that was also something that made the first Home Alone movies good, is that like you get to see this kid fully enjoy being by himself away from his family, and you don't see that as much in this one.
That's true. He's just watching people.
Yeah, he's like a little Jimmy Stewart in Rear Window.
Yeah.
They replaced all the neighbors with CIA agents, and they stole a chip. And
yeah, it's like older millennials get to tell their kids, it's like, this is what we did before cell phones.
I'm gonna be honest, I kind of struggled with this third one because I really did not like this movie.
Whoa.
The military hardware subplot added some excitement. I was like, you know what this like rinky-dink down-to-earth kids wish fulfillment movie needed? A spy element. I thought this movie was just like mediocre, and it added something a little bit more interesting to it. But yeah.
It's funny. My last concession was actually going to be they could have made the microchip more cartoonish, because like a lot of the aspects of the movie are already cartoonish, and then you start off with this really serious thing, and the fact they really specify what the microchip is used for makes it feel too real, but also like in a way a kid watching this wouldn't really appreciate or care about. Like they could have done the cartoon way where it's like full Phineas and Ferb. It's like it's the evil Chippinator or like maybe not to that degree, but just something like this will shift world powers and like and like allow whoever to like control weapons or it was just weirdly oddly specific.
Yeah. All right, we want to close this bad boy up.
Yep.
All right.
Closing statements.
Home Alone 3 is a mediocre romp through the memory of a good movie. It's a grating experience that makes you want to shit talk a child. I give it 1 out of 10 concussions.
Instead of trying to recapture the magic of the first 2 films, this one creates its own. It continues a legacy to a new generation by appealing to their shared concerns and upping the slapstick humor. I give this film 5 HOA violations. Lee, do you have any closing thoughts on the film?
I think this is really good. I agree with you. They should. It stands perfectly fine on its own, but if you have expectation, like how it's gonna continue the legacy of the first 2, it's gonna be different. I really enjoyed it. I agree with my people. I give it like a 7.5. And I think this kid is giving neurotypical young Sheldon.
All right.
So I really like it. I'm gonna watch it next year.
We'll make a headcanon.
All right. Lee, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you?
Oh, I started post TikTok videos. There are a lot of nonsense. But you can follow me on, I think it's I Want Pomeranians.
All right, great. And thank you for coming back. This has been another episode of Film versus Movie. I'm Belton DeLaine-Facey.
My name's Chris Shurr.
And we will see you all next time.